All right, today we're diving into a book that's going to flip your idea of economics on its head. It's called Freakonomics. And the big idea here is that economics isn't really about money. It's about something way more interesting: the hidden reasons why we do the things we do. So let's just jump right in with a weird question. What on earth do sumo wrestlers and school teachers have in common? I know, it sounds like the start of a bad joke, right? But stick with me, because the answer is at the absolute core of this whole thing. Okay, here's another one, but this one's a bit more serious. In the 1990s, the crime rate in the US was going through the roof. And then it just dropped, like fell off a cliff, and nobody could really agree on why. The usual answers just didn't seem to fit. And the craziest part? The real reason is connected to our sumo wrestlers and teachers. Yeah, I told you it was weird. So how do we even begin to connect these dots? Well, according to the authors of Freakonomics, the first step is to basically forget everything you think you know about economics. Seriously, this isn't about the stock market or complicated graphs. This is it. This is the big idea. When they say economics, what they really mean is the science of incentives. It's all about figuring out what makes people tick, and then, and this is key, using data to check if you're right. It's like a special set of tools for digging into the hidden side of, well, pretty much everything. And this really sums up the whole philosophy of the book. There are no boring subjects, only boring questions asked by people without curiosity. It's all about looking at the world and not just accepting the surface-level answers, but asking those weird, interesting questions. All right, so let's actually use this new toolkit. Let's go back to that huge mystery we talked about at the beginning, that great crime drop in the 90s. This isn't just a thought experiment. This was a massive real-world event. So back then, everyone had their theories, right? You heard things like, oh, it's the tougher policing, or the economy's great, or we're putting more people in prison. And look, those things sound perfectly reasonable. But when the Freakonomics guys looked at the data, none of it, or even all of it combined, could explain how big and how sudden that drop was. Something was missing. A huge piece of the puzzle. And this is where the book makes its most, let's say, controversial claim. The authors argued that the answer wasn't in the 1990s at all. It was actually rooted in a huge social change from 20 years earlier: the legalization of abortion. Now, this was a bombshell because it completely shifted the focus from immediate causes to a kind of long-term delayed fuse. Okay, so here's their logic, step by step. The argument is that when abortion became legal, it meant fewer children were born into really tough situations. Extreme poverty, single-parent homes, circumstances that data shows have a strong link to a higher chance of that person committing crimes later in life. So you fast forward about 2 decades, and the generation of young men who would have been statistically most at risk to become criminals, well, a significant number of them were never born. And that, they argue, is what led to the crime rate falling off a cliff. It's a really shocking conclusion, but it's one they reached just by following where the numbers led them, not based on emotion or politics. So that crime drop story is obviously a huge, dramatic example. But this way of thinking, this habit of hunting for the hidden incentive, it works on everything, from the massive to the mundane. And once you start looking for them, you really do start to see them everywhere. It basically boils down to a super simple pattern. Step 1, an incentive gets put in place. Step 2, people naturally react to that incentive. But step 3, and this is where it gets fun, is that people often react in totally unexpected, sometimes sneaky ways. Let me give you a few examples. All right, think about this. We want students to do better, so we tell teachers, hey, if your class scores go up, you get a bonus and your job is safe. A pretty high-stakes incentive, right? The goal, obviously, is to encourage better teaching. But the unexpected result? When the Freakonomics team dug into the data from Chicago schools, they found a strange pattern. Some teachers were just erasing their students' wrong answers and filling in the right ones. They were cheating. And it's not always about something so dramatic as cheating. Sometimes it's way more subtle. Okay, imagine you're selling your house. You think your real estate agent has the exact same goal as you: get the highest price possible. But let's do the math. An extra $10,000 for you is amazing, but for them, after their brokerage takes a cut, it might only be a couple hundred extra bucks. So what's their real incentive? It's often to sell the house fast, get their commission, and move on to the next client. And it's not always about money either. Sometimes the incentive is social, like an unspoken deal between people. And that finally brings us back to our sumo wrestlers. The data showed something really odd. When a wrestler is right on the bubble, like if he loses his last match, he gets demoted, and he's up against a guy who is already safe, he wins a suspiciously high percentage of the time. The hidden incentive? It seems to be a kind of you help me out today, I'll help you out tomorrow deal. They throw the match. So you see, these aren't just a bunch of fun, weird stories. Each one is an example of a really powerful way of thinking. When you learn to spot the hidden incentives and to really question the obvious answer, you get a completely new lens for looking at the world. And honestly, this is the most powerful takeaway from the whole book. This way of thinking isn't just for economists. It's a tool for anyone. You can use it in any situation to get a better handle on why people do what they do. It's really a new way of looking at human behavior itself. So what do you walk away with? Basically, a brand new toolkit. You've learned to ask better, weirder questions. To look for the data, not just the story. And most importantly, you can start to spot those hidden incentives that are pulling the strings all around you. It's about firing up your own curiosity. So I'm going to leave you with a little challenge. The very next time you see something that makes you go, huh, that's weird, or that doesn't make sense, just pause and ask yourself one question. Forget what everyone is saying is the reason. What's the real incentive here? I guarantee you, the answer will probably surprise you.